Okay, I've had a few people ask me how to tie up a spinner fly, so we're gonna try that tonight. So I like using these saltwater flies, or hooks, size 2. You can use whatever size you want. I like size 2 because it's a little bit bigger. Um, and it has a little bit more profile when it's in the water. And it keeps some of the smaller fish off. Sometimes with a smaller fly, I mean, you can catch really big fish with small flies, but you also sometimes catch a lot of like little bluegill and stuff. And so I sometimes like to keep those off, and so I tie a little bit bigger fly. Okay, the first thing is you need a propeller. Now, a couple things. They come in multiple different sizes, so I've got 3 here. I have found, even though these big ones are nice, they tend to bend really easy, especially if you fish areas that have a lot of grass and stuff. And you know, when you bend them back in place and all that, you do that about 7 or 8 times, and then they break. And so I like to use these medium-sized ones. You know, they're a little bit smaller, but they don't bend. Well, not nearly as easily. They still bend, but not nearly as easily. And so they don't break as easy. So I like using those. When I put this on, there's a concave side and a concave side. I like to have the concave side face towards the eye of the hook, and the concave face what's going to end up being the bead head. All right, so these need a little bit of encouragement to go on because they're not quite big enough to go over that hook. So you just kind of give them a little push, and they go right on. And then I like to use these slotted bead heads. And actually, I'm going to use this color. I like this little bit. I'm going to tie up a darker fly, so we're going to use the darker color here. And I like the slotted ones because when you go to put them on the fly or on the hook, if you don't, sometimes they won't make it around that bend, and then you end up having a paperweight basically. All right. So these slide right on, like so. Woo. All right, I'll crank that baby down. Alrighty, and we'll just tie this thing in. Lay down a good foundation. Okay. Now for the tail, I like using this. What is it? Stephen Farrar's Flash, and I like this. So again, I'm gonna do a little darker color one, and so I like this gray color. We'll take that. And the tail's gonna be about that long. Woo. Oop. Okay, we'll tie this in. Woo. All right, and now before we tie that all the way back, I also like putting in a little extra flash here, just for fun. And we'll fold all this back. go right back, right to the bend of that hook, like so. Okay, and I'll tie this all in. Alrighty, now we got a little extra here, so we'll clip that off. And I've got a huge mess here is what I have. All right, I'm going to cut this up. You'll see why in a bit. This will come in really handy here in just a second. Okay, so now I want, this is going to be a grizzly hackle here, and it's going to be fairly big, so I want a fairly big size feather. Yeah, something like that. I'll peel that back. Okay, and then we'll tie this in. Ooh. I actually made that a little longer than I wanted to. Let's cut that back. All right, and then we'll take this back to right there. Now, this is a trick a buddy of mine in high school showed me. So when you tie in dubbing to make the body, you just use all the leftovers that you've got, right? Or you can use whatever you want. If you've got dubbing, you can use it as well. I just like using the leftovers. And then I also like getting an extra little piece of tinsel. Okay, and so, you take these and kind of wrap it around your thread best you can. Woo. And we're going to get a little bit more of this. All right, and then I'm going to lay this in here as well. Oh. And then you take, I made this from a paper clip. All right, so you just take this, you wrap it around here. You take your thread, you put it back here. Anchor that in, and then you twist this all up. So this stuff will not come out. Like when you twist it in like this, that dubbing stays in there and it will not come off your fly. And you basically are recycling stuff that you would have thrown away anyway, so it's kind of nice. Then you take that and we're just gonna go ahead and fill in that body. Okay. Ooh. Okay, tie that in. Ooh. And we'll give that a little head right there. Ooh. All right, so that's how you'd make the And I like it pretty thin. You can make it as thick as you want. I don't, for this particular pattern, I like it pretty streamlined, so I'm not making it real thick, but you can make it as thick as you want. And then, oh, whoops, I've got a little extra here that I missed. We're gonna tie in our hackle. Yeah, there's my hackle pliers. And I always like to come back over the top of the hackle when I put it in, just to kind of help tie it in a little tighter so it doesn't come unraveled or break on you. Helps the fly last a little longer. Okay, we'll tie that in really good. Ooh. Okay. Make sure that can still spin. And I'm gonna try and tie that back in. There we go. Oh, that's too tight. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you don't get that in there too tight, otherwise that won't spin. There we go. Okay. Then you get it like so. And then we put on some head cement. In this case, I use fingernail polish. I find that it works pretty dang good. And my wife or my daughters always have some laying around. So the other thing you can do, I like to do anyway, is put a little bit of marking on the tail here. It just kind of gives it that, takes that grizzly hackle pattern all the way out to the tail, right? So you do it like so. And then we'll put a whip finish on it and she will be done. And I can never do this. Let's see if we can do it right. Yeah. Let's try this one more time. Oop, right there. Got it. All right. And then we'll put one more on it. And pull that tight. And that is all there is to it. So I use this flight everywhere. I use it on the coast. I use it in freshwater, rivers, lakes. I have not found a place where this pattern does not just like absolutely do really, really well. And so there you go. The little spinnerhead fly works fantastic.